Hey there, Dave Stumple. Good to see you.
Hello, Mark. Good to be seen. Thank you.
Mm.
How are you?
Good.
Great.
Or can you move James over?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yo, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening, Commissioner Sanford. And Commissioner Reyes. I think we have the all of the commissioners here with us now.
Florida's, I think I might have accidentally deleted the digital copy of the meeting packet. Can you resend it to me real quick?
Sure. 1 second.
All right, you know what? I have it. Okay. Do we have a quorum? I believe
Yes, we do, Chairman.
Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could have attendance, please, Executive Director.
We certainly can. A.M. Pistato.
Here.
A. Lewitt.
Here.
D. Mello.
Present.
B. Reyes.
Here.
M. Russo.
Present.
A. Sanford.
Present.
E. Seitzman.
Here.
All right, I would like to advise those present that notice of this regular meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this regular monthly February's board meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, February 10th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Was sent to the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger on Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, as notification to the general public of said meeting, and sent to the city clerk of Hoboken on Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the aforementioned bulletin board in City Hall, the Hoboken Public Library, and Hoboken Police Department, and posted on the authority website on Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced that adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. In addition, I direct the minutes of this meeting to state the following. As a result of the restrictions established by Executive Order 107 issued by the Governor of New Jersey with respect to the need to limit public gatherings to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the meeting will be conducted exclusively through the use of communications equipment. This procedure is in accordance with NJSA 10:4-9.3, which states that a public body shall not be deemed to have violated any provision of the Open Public Meetings Act in conducting a meeting by means of communication or other electronic equipment. In addition, this procedure complies with Article 3, Section 7 of the Authority Bylaws, which allows for participation in authority meetings by members of the Board of Commissioners by means of telephone conference or similar communications equipment. Now, Counselor, if you could add your addendum.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. In keeping with the Housing Authority's normal practice of affording members of the public the opportunity to comment at monthly board meetings, the authority will be accepting comment during this meeting in one of three ways. First, comments can be sent to hha@myhhanj.com from now until 7:30 p.m. All timely and legally appropriate comments received by email will be read aloud by an authority representative for all attendees of the meeting to hear. Second, beginning at approximately 7:30 p.m., the authority will allow access to participants one at a time to comment using their telephone or through Zoom's audio function. Third, if you are participating in the meeting using Zoom from a web browser or smart device, you can submit comment using the Zoom Q&A function, which can be accessed by clicking the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. We require that any member of the public who wishes to submit comment using the Q&A function, please limit themselves to a single submission rather than submitting multiple brief comments. In the event that a member of the public submits more than one comment, only the first legally appropriate comment will be read aloud at the meeting. Any comment submitted after 7:30 p.m. will be rejected and will not be read aloud at the meeting. In addition, please note that while the Zoom video of this meeting is being streamed through Facebook Live, public comment will not be accepted through Facebook or Facebook Live. Any member of the public watching through Facebook Live who wishes to comment may do so by email, by telephone, or by using the Zoom Q&A function. The email address again is hha@myhhanj.com, and the telephone number is 646-558-8656, webinar ID 485-881-849. Finally, please be advised that the standard practice of the executive director and members of the board is to refrain from engaging in a back and forth discussion during the public comment portion of authority meetings. However, in light of the ongoing crisis, the authority realizes that limited exceptions to this practice may be necessary. On behalf of the authority, I thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. At this time, in order to allow more time for members of the public to submit comment in advance of 7:30, I recommend that the board consider adopting a resolution to reorder the agenda to allow the executive director to present his report.
I move to adopt said resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so let's proceed then with the executive director's reports.
Very good. Thank you, Chairman. Good to be here. Good to see everyone this evening. It felt great to get outside, just that first little hint of spring, right? Just don't get too excited, but that first little hint of felt good today to be outside. So my report today, my recovery from my knee replacement has had me working predominantly from home. I have been getting into the office, but predominantly from home. So I've been living on Zoom here with the staff and everyone else. So thank you all for being understanding as I get back to full strength here. Tonight, I want to start out with some guests that we have with us tonight from what we're calling the Community Solar Initiative. We have Jennifer Gonzalez from the city with us and her team to present to us a initiative that I think can be a great benefit to both the city and the Housing Authority residents. This program was reviewed in depth with the Resident Services Committee at the February 3rd meeting. And the idea tonight is to kind of present the idea to you and come back to you in March or April with an approval on the program as this group answers your questions and we work out some details. Essentially, as they'll tell you, the energy savings that are accomplished through the solar program must be spent on resident programming directly for our residents. They'll explain more about that to you as they do their presentations. We welcome the Community Solar Initiative group led by Jennifer. And Jennifer, I will hand it over to you and Belle and your group to tell us what this is all about.
Sure. Thank you so much, Director Recco, Housing Authority Commissioners, for having us here this evening, and to the Resident Services Committee for hearing our presentation a week ago. We're really excited to be back here. The city has been working on a community solar program now, trying to launch one for more than 2 years. It's a program that is approved by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities that enables residents who may not be able to access solar otherwise to have clean, affordable, renewable energy. And the benefits of those cost savings due to the renewable energy go right back to the residents of the Housing Authority. So we have here with us this evening, Belle Gable of Gable Associates. Gable is the city's energy agent on this project. And I'll turn it over to Belle to introduce the remainder of her team. We have a very short slide presentation for you and really look forward to hearing your questions, and certainly can respond either at this meeting or set up separate meetings and calls to make sure that we've answered any and all questions and keep the dialogue going. But with that, I'll turn it over to Belle.
Hi, everyone. Jennifer, good introduction. My name is Belle Gable, work for Gable Associates, an energy consulting firm. We also have on the line Larry Garb, who is the solar developer working with us, and David Buckner, who is the solar installer working with us. I think that Jennifer did a great job starting us off as far as explaining basically what community solar is. So typically, because solar is a cheaper energy source, solar costs lowers your energy bills. And usually those kind of benefits go to people who can have solar panels on their roof. Community solar, the idea of it is that anyone should have access to those savings. Anyone should have access to those benefits. And I've kind of illustrated that here. On the left, you can see that that's a house that can have a solar panel on it. They get the energy, they sell any excess energy, and they get a lower energy bill. If you look on the right, that's a community solar model. And the difference between these two is that the residents of this house or this apartment cannot have solar panels on their roof. So they subscribe to a remote solar farm. That remote solar farm gathers solar energy, sells it to PSE&G. Then PSE&G transfer those credits to the community solar subscribers. So more specifically about Hoboken, this community solar is opening solar benefits to residents of Hoboken, specifically the Housing Authority, because usually, like I said, renters can't own a solar panel on their roof. Apartments sometimes can't have panels on their roof. If a house has an old roof, it can't have solar panels. If there's a tree over the house, they can't have solar panels. If the residents have low credit, they can't have solar panels. So as you can imagine, this is really limiting savings for especially the people who need the savings most. This is great for Hoboken because Hoboken doesn't have a giant field or a giant warehouse to put those solar panels on. So the fact that it's remote, meaning that it's located in another city and you still get the benefits, is really a great and new model. So when it comes to how this affects the Housing Authority, we have set it up with two main benefits. So, like I said, solar energy is a cheaper energy source. And the savings that the Hoboken Housing Authority would get from the solar energy would be going into a fund that would benefit every resident. The idea is that we would take the money from that fund, which we are anticipating to be somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 annually, and set up a menu of possible projects that would benefit the entire Housing Authority community, that would have something to do with energy efficiency, and very importantly, would represent the needs and desires of the community. This would be very much involved. We want to hear from the community what you guys need. We want to hear the best way to reach out to you. And once we develop this menu of possible options for where this funding can go, we want you all to vote on it. So that it's really not us coming in saying, you know, take this, this is what you guys need. Trust me, we want to have a dialogue. We want to help. The second aspect would be solar job training. And we have our solar installer, David Buckner, on the line, if you want to tell us a little about it.
Hi, everyone. This is David Buckner of Solar Energy Systems. We're a design, build, full service maintenance solar group located in the Northeast here, with a very specific focus on northern and Northeast Jersey, actually largely due to the Harts Mountain solar portfolio that we've worked on over the years. When we were awarded the first year's BPU program, we were awarded 4 projects on Harts rooftops. Part of our application and promise was to train local people who were interested in learning about solar and potentially getting jobs working with us. So we did that successfully with a group called Solar One. They're a nonprofit group that has a green workforce training program. Unfortunately, that did happen during the very beginnings of COVID. So it went from what was meant to be a classroom instruction for a couple of weeks with the Newark Ironbound Community Corporation to fully remote. But the end result is we did get about 12 people out of that program that interviewed with us. We gave them all an opportunity to work with us on the projects that were awarded in the program, and we still have a few of them with us today. So we would look to replicate that opportunity and provide that to residents of Hoboken. And I know we're making a little bit of progress on potential resources to locate people that would like to join that course. But the course itself is a couple of weeks. It's the first week is construction basics and safety, and then we move into solar specific applications. And if need be, we can also offer OSHA 30 training at the end of it. So it's a great opportunity, and we like it. We have a very diverse workforce and always looking to grow that.
Great, thank you, David. I do just want to bounce for a second back to this fund because I do want to give a better idea of the vision here, which is that 50K to 100K could go to a variety of projects. It's very exciting. A few examples would be for about $70,000 of the fund, approximately. We could have a playground made of recycled materials for $200,000, which would mean rolling over the fund for over a couple of years. You could have an EV, an electric vehicle shuttle to bring people to get groceries or doctor's appointments or whatever. We could also invest in public art projects. So you can see that there's so many possibilities here, and we're really interested in hearing from the residents. I understand that you have a survey out about resident needs, and this can really go in a variety of different directions. It's really excited and open to creativity.
One of the things, Belle, that I'd like to ask is the Community Solar Fund. Is that a legislative guarantee? How does that function? Was this something that was passed by the state legislature that guarantees that these savings go back to resident activities? And what's the guarantee there that this money goes back for exclusive use of the residents?
Sure. As part of the city's application into community solar, which is a state program, we guaranteed that those benefits are going to be going back to the residents as part of the law, part of the statute.
Excellent.
And then on top of that, we would also be having a contract, a shared service agreement between the housing authority and the city to make sure that everything is in place. But right now, it's a guarantee.
Thank you, Bill.
So I'm hitting just the major points, and something that's really important to us is the idea of outreach and the idea that you all are a big part of this as far as deciding the fund, but also just a big part of what the project overall is about. We're going to have multiple different ways to reach out to the community, to communicate and to get feedback and educate. Like it says here, we're going to be very careful about how we present all of our information. We're going to have a web page, we'll have signs, we have a toll-free number. It's not as if we're dropping in, doing the project and piecing out. We're coming in and we want to be part of the community and really involved in hearing people out. Having one-on-one conversations is really important to us, talking to community leaders as well. And like it says here, encourage residents to contact us. We love community solar and we love talking about it. We can really answer any questions that you have.
What is the name of the company?
I work at Gable Associates, the energy consulting company, but the
So
project
you're
is
the consultant for which solar
for the
company? That's
I'm the consultant to the city of
so.
Hoboken.
What is the name of the solar company that is providing this community solar program?
That would be Hearts Solar. Lowry's on the line.
It's HART.
HARTZ.
Larry's the executive over at Hearts Solar. If you want to tell them a little about yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. What other
Sure.
communities you're in? That'd be helpful.
Yeah, sure. So some of you may be familiar with Harts Mountain. We're a large real estate developer in northern New Jersey and across the East Coast. We got into the solar business. Some of you that may know us for owning a lot of warehouses in Harmon Cove and Secaucus and North Bergen, et cetera. We got into the solar business back in 2009 when the state began its SREC program and solar became, started its rise in New Jersey as being one of the top states in the country to develop solar. And as we have about 20 million square feet of industrial warehouse space in New Jersey, those flat roofs were perfect for solar development. So we took the initiative to develop our subsidiary Heart Solar. And since 2009, we've developed 50 megawatts of solar in New Jersey, mostly on rooftops, a lot in Secaucus and North Bergen and Jersey City and Newark, and as well as other communities across New Jersey. And we also have built a solar farm down in Hamilton, New Jersey. We've partnered on most of our projects with Solar Energy Systems and Dave Buckner, who you just heard from. They've been a great partner for us in developing, designing, and maintaining these systems. And with respect to community solar, so just a little bit more background. So this project's in year 2 of the BPU's community solar pilot program. In year 1, we were fortunate enough to be awarded 4 of the 45 projects that the BPU approved. Those 4 are in operation. There's very few of those 45 that actually got turned on to date, primarily, I assume, because of COVID. But we do have 4 live projects, one in Jersey City, one in North Bergen, one in Secaucus, and one in Newark. And those are selling to residential customers, both low and moderate income and market rate customers in those cities and adjoining municipalities to those cities. For our low and moderate income component, a lot of that power on those 4 projects is being purchased by the Jersey City Housing Authority on some of their master meters and some of their buildings in Jersey City. This specific project, which we were awarded in year 2 with Hoboken as co-applicant, is located on a building we own in Elizabeth, right at the port. It's about a 500,000 square foot warehouse. And our plan is to develop about 4 megawatts of solar on that rooftop. The generation be exclusively for Hoboken, and we've dedicated or committed that 100% of that production gets used for low and moderate income customers.
Thank you for that. What is in the Jersey City Housing Authority? You mentioned you're part of that program.
Correct.
What was their fund used for, or is it too early?
They opted for a different model. So they actually, the way they're modeled is that the residents in certain of their projects are paying a component of electric in their rent. And they committed through affidavit that they were reducing. So we guaranteed a 15% discount off of their PSE&G bill or credits equal to 15. And they are passing that savings through to the individual residents in those buildings. So that it's a slightly different model in that project, but it's similar.
Mark, does Jersey City Housing Authority residents pay their own electric?
No, they're on master metered. It's a master metered project, but it's on a pass through, so that through either sub meters or through some kind of allocation of the bill, the tenants are paying a component of the master metered electric bill in the buildings that we're serving. So what they've done is then taken that 15% off of the charge that the Jersey City Housing Authority passes through to the individual residents.
Is there an option here where our residents could potentially be given a financial allocation off of this instead of the fund? Or by law, the fund has to go to green energy efficient technology or products?
This program, Hoboken became part of this program through a very, very competitive application process. There were over 400 applicants and around 101. Very competitive. And as part of the application, which we are bound to, is the having it as a fund. And a big part of that and a big benefit of that is just socializing the idea of sustainability, environmentalism, and having something very visible and tangible to benefit every single person on that property.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a good presentation. Any final questions to this group? We're going to be going to the Resident Advisory Board to review this concept with them as well. And we're going to be talking about what kind of a shared services agreement we may come up with, start talking about some drafts on that. And then you'll be hearing back from us in this group at the March and/or April meetings. I think that was a good introduction.
This has to be approved by the board?
Yes. And, again, to my view, it's really a win-win no matter which direction you go. It's really a no-cost opportunity for us to get some benefits and to expand on our resident services area, which we just haven't had sufficient funds for in the past. This is, I think, a real opportunity for us.
What about installing solar panels on the buildings we hopefully will get built? Do we rent you space or we get a bigger benefit?
The solar panels, in order to generate enough energy to get those savings, would need a lot more space.
Yeah.
A lot more space than those buildings could
we
offer.
don't have a warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to give you a quick idea, not to go on too long, but we just actually completed it's a market rate residential project in Weehawken, and part of our approvals in Weehawken were to install solar panels on the roofs of the 3 towers to the building. And we did that, and they are operational, but it really generates such a minute portion of our electric bill. It's still obviously accretive, it still provides renewable energy, but it's not to a level that would make sense to, to do on a large scale.
Okay, thank you.
And just if there's any, and correct me if I'm wrong, but just so our residents who are listening, this will not impact their electricity at all. So if let's just say there's no sun for months, your lights are still going to be on. You're still going to have electricity. It won't impact your input of electricity one bit. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, Jennifer, Bell, and your group, thank you so much for coming this
Thank
evening. We really
you.
appreciate you, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
All right,
Thank you
everybody
for
have a
your time.
nice night.
Take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Your time.
Thank you.
So having said that, I'll continue with my report. We all know that the COVID-19 issues are continuing, but things are changing, aren't they? So we will keep up with the times on those. I see that I think the mayor just put out a notice saying that indoor masks are not going to be required here in the very near future. But we have still kind of been on just the other side of the real peak we had 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we're still being safe, but nonetheless, we've keeping our eye on it as things hopefully start to change. But we still want to be very, very careful out there. Hoboken Housing Forward, we've done a lot of work this month. Things are really moving. Tonight, there is a resolution before you later that expands on the development principles that the board passed back in June. Since June, these development principles have guided our team through all of our decision-making as we've gone into our charrettes and as we've gone into our stakeholder meetings. Those development principles have been just crucial to us. And I think the team and the subcommittee has worked really hard on taking a look at expanding those principles and making those principles even clearer as we go into publishing our final plan. And tonight, we've got a resolution before you, which we can certainly get into that discussion when the resolution is brought up a little bit later. And when that resolution is brought up, we can update you, fully on the plan and fully on the new development principles that have been worked out so carefully with the subcommittee. I do want to mention some things on our timeline. Our timeline for moving forward includes a presentation of a draft plan to the HHA board at our March meeting. Our schedule calls for publishing that plan before the meeting and distributing it to you, and have a discussion on the draft at our March meeting. Then coming back to the board in April for a final approval on the plan. So we're moving forward. As we enter that, we have developed an aggressive resident outreach schedule to keep HHA residents informed and solicit input at each step of the way. We've called a resident meeting for next Tuesday, the 16th. Again, we'll have this meeting tonight. Next week, we'll have a resident meeting to review what goes on tonight and the new development principles. We'll present these to the Resident Advisory Board as well at their March meeting. And then after our meeting in March, we have a draft plan. We will then have another resident meeting to review the draft plan with the residents in detail. And then before the April board meeting, we will have another resident meeting to go over the kind of the final plan and where we are as we move into an approval on a final plan. So that means between now and April, we will have at least 3 overall resident meetings. So if anyone can miss one, they can always make another, but we will be continuing to bring this out to the public as we put this plan together and start moving forward with it. We did have an excellent training with the residents, led by Shannon Lestad of Enterprise Partners. On January 24th, HUD was represented at that meeting as well. And many thanks to Shannon and the Enterprise team for that presentation. We thought it was very, very useful. And I think a number of residents got a lot out of it. I've got some good feedback from that. I do attach a schedule of our meetings with the residents coming up as an attachment to my report for you. But we are reaching out in every possible way. We have our survey out there right now. We want to receive all of the residents that are listening tonight. Please, we would like to receive your input. Our deadline for a response on that is February 20th. You can just go up to the flyer, get your phone, do the QR link. It'll take you right to the survey. We are going to be canvassing next week with staff. We're going to be going to every single building and reaching out to all of our residents. If anyone needs help filling out the survey, if anyone needs guidance, getting pointed in the right direction, we'll be going to each and every single building next week with a management team to make sure that folks have an opportunity to fill out that survey. We'll also, as we do that next week, we'll also be giving folks another chance, even though it's on our website now, to join our Nixle notification system as well. So it's going to be kind of a 1-2 punch with coming on out and visiting with residents, hopefully getting folks to fill out the survey and to sign up for our Nixle. We are planning on February 21st to publish a survey to go out to the entire Hoboken community. We hope to put out a survey on the 21st and have results back by March 11th. That would not, the results from that survey would not get into the draft plan, but would certainly be able to be considered and included in the final plan. Now, again, we have reached out to the community through the charrette process on the field. We've gotten feedback from the overall Hoboken community in depth, from our different stakeholders as well. But this is kind of a final, push as we go into our final plan, to reach out to the entire Hoboken community, to have folks come back to us and tell us their opinions on our plan and where we're going with that. So that's where we are for now. And
Do we
again,
nixle the plan?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do we nixle the survey? Did we send out a nixle with the survey?
We sent out, I believe we sent out a nixle announcing the survey and requesting people to get on. But we didn't send the actual survey by Nixle, but we sent the link out by Nixle.
I think you said the same. I think you contradicted yourself. You said you sent the link out?
Yeah. Lourdes, can you confirm that link was sent out for the survey?
Yeah, that's on our website, Commissioner. If you click on the very top, it's going to bring you right to the our flyer, and it has the that bar, that scan bar that Barbara put together.
Did you send the link to the survey on the Nixle alert?
Correct. They could click right onto the bar, and it brings them right to the survey.
Yeah, but that's not the question, Lourdes. The question is, did we Nixle that link out?
Daniel, I'm pretty sure we did. Daniel's on the call right now.
I didn't see it.
I thought we had to, but we'll check on that. We'll be glad to make darn sure it was.
Social media. Did we post it? I don't see it on like the Instagram.
I see it on Twitter. Sorry, Commissioner Empasano. I do see it on Twitter because I shared it.
Yeah, I don't see it on Instagram. And then the other thing was, do you think it makes sense to do like some ads, some social media ads, where you can blanket the campus via Facebook ads or Instagram ads, spend not much, a couple $100, and then that will pop up on people's Facebook, people's Instagram account. It's all over. It's a really good, efficient way to hit as many people in a geographic area. So I was just curious, maybe we can look at that. I'd be more than happy to show Daniel how to do that.
Great. We'd love to get pointed on the right direction. Yeah, go on.
If I could just jump in on that point, the only concern I would have there, Commissioner, is you cannot, unless you have a targeted list, you can't get down to that small of a geographic area. That would go into Facebook and or Instagram, or even on Twitter. That would go into a generalized area. You could probably get down to the city level, maybe a little bit on the outskirts, but I don't think you get that nitty gritty into just the housing authority, unless you use your existing email list for residents and target that ad directly to them.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that would, then that's 100% correct. Doing a geographic area probably wouldn't work as well. But yeah, that's fine.
Director? Director, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Andrew, just to answer your question, yes, the Nixle did go out. It went out January 29th. It was through Nixle. Yes, the link is on there, and it was sent in Spanish and in English.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
No problem.
Very good. So we'll keep working on this. We'll keep getting it out. We'll keep making it happen. And I think the canvassing and I think next week's going to make a big difference here too. So we look forward to it. We'll be back on the planning and the development principles during the resolution portion of the meeting coming up very soon. Internet accessibility, we continue to work with the city on an avenue to provide low-cost internet service to all of our residents. That project is still in the conversation phase. Fox Hill Gardens, it's in the construction document phase on the project at Fox Hill Gardens. We had a very, I think, fruitful policing security meeting this past week. We met this month with representation from the Hoboken Police Department and our legal team. The HPD remains very active on our sites. I think probably more active than I've seen in quite a while. We really thank them for the work they're doing out there, doing their regular patrols, and our communication has gotten very good. They've been using our camera systems to, I think, excellent effect. So we talked to the police, then I'll hand it over to the committee members as well. The Security Committee also reviewed a draft of what we're considering as a replacement of our somewhat updated one strike policy. We're calling this policy the criminal activity policy. And it won't be long before you're seeing a full edition of that for board review. We're polishing off a couple small issues on that, and I would think that that will be to the board very soon. And then we also had an in-depth discussion of the issues over on the Marshall Street Horseshoe, and some concepts of maybe doing an extraordinary lighting project over there as well. So having said that, policing, security, the security committee members, I want to chip on in on that meeting.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, just to piggyback on what the director said, we actually had a meeting this week with the police department as well as the entire committee. And they're on site. The police continue to be on site. I believe that they're more vigilant than they have been in the past. And this is not just as a commissioner, I see it as a resident living here, and some of the situations that have arose recently, they have been on site immediately, which I believe that that was one of the concerns in the past that wasn't happening. So I'm happy to see that. The committee is also working on revamping our one strike policy, which is no longer going to be called our one strike policy. I know that we met with Matt, and we are working on that. We're making some progress with that, and hopefully in the near future, we will be able to bring it to the board for your approval. It's still in the early stages, but we're moving it along.
Very good. Very fruitful meeting, I thought.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Councilman Russo, I know you're a big advocate and a big pusher on that, so we're doing well. Thank you. I think what we saw with the increased patrols this summer, if you remember that Chief LeBeau really instituted some more foot patrols and a lot of attention to our developments. I think we're really starting to see some real fruits of that as well. that the officers that are on the ground are getting to know people and getting to know more information and getting more comfortable with the community out there. And I think we're starting to see some of those arrests. We're starting to see some of that information come back to us, I think, on a very regular, sustained basis. And I'm very, very pleased with what we're seeing out there on that.
I just want to add to that about what the director said about the lighting in the horseshoe area. As you guys know, Harrison Garden last year was incredible with all the issues we had. And since that lighting came on and we put it on Harrison Garden has totally changed. I know as a resident here, I don't see what used to happen. And I think that doing the same thing towards that area is going to improve the quality of life of the people that live in that area at the current time.
Thank you. I think so too. Anything else on that? On staffing, Emma and I have been doing interviews. So hopefully we'll see some results from those interviews coming back to you soon. We do still have to publish an invitation for applications for the new trustees for the Housing for Hoboken Board. Attachment 2 on your report is our monthly vacancy report. It's a new format that Frank came up with, and I think it answers a number of questions and a number of things that are put out. I think we had a bit of a slow month in February, but I think, Frank, we're looking for good things over the next couple of months on that leasing side. Part of the problems has been getting cabinets and supply chain, but we're moving along. On special projects, the Housing Finance Agency project at Adams and Andrew Jackson is moving along. The boiler system at Adams, we're just waiting for the equipment. I think the boiler had a long lead time. So again, that's not going to be in for this heating season, but by next heating season, we should have a whole new system over at Adams. And we are submitting some final closing documents to the Housing Finance Agency because we're in the final throes of that project that, if you remember, provided the elevators, provided roofs, etc. The facade project at Monroe and Adams is undergoing permitting and waiting for materials. We did get some good news, I think, today that we think in the next 2 to 3 weeks that the material for that project will finally be here. So as soon as that material is here and we get that break in the weather, they'll be able to start. They actually had a 16-week lead time on getting matching brick for the building, so that should start soon. Management has been working hard. I think I've directed Frank to really focus in on our tenant files. We're approaching the project of correcting any problems with our filing systems. And we're doing that in tandem with digitizing our resident files. As we go through and digitize those files, we're reviewing every file because we have had some file review issues, and we're working really focused on Frank's department on fixing those with that goal of remedying any audit findings for our next year's audit. Frank, you want to say anything else about, I know your staff has been working hard on that, digitizing and going through those file reviews.
Yeah, as everybody knows, in the summer, we converted to the new software. One of the things that would have been a dream at the time was to get all the files in there. Unfortunately, it is a big task and it was difficult to get it, but because we are now required for something else, it's a great kind of win-win opportunity for us because we tackle a couple of things. Number one, we digitize our files. Number two, it gives us an opportunity to find anything that was missing. It's kind of like a 100% review of every single file instead of a sample. Usually, as people do things, it's, you select a sample. This is 100%. Every single file has to be accounted for. We're reviewing what's in there, scanning it. It'll be in our system, and then from there, it's just maintenance, and then it's just how we move forward. But this gives us the opportunity to see 100% what we have on the ground.
Okay, thank you, Frank. It's going to be a continuing effort. We're also complying with the request by the Housing Finance Agency due to their project to share with them our digitized files, so we're working with them hand in hand. Housing choice vouchers, we still have those 5 tenant-based vouchers on the street. HUD had done a request that housing authorities extend them, so they are extended through March for those 5 individuals to find themselves a place to live. So they've still got that opportunity to find an apartment and come on back and utilize that housing choice voucher. I've been a little slow on getting the RFP for project-based assistance out, but we'll refocus on that and get that out on the street before long. Maintenance, we are having our first REAC inspections in 2 years. So we've been very busy planning for that and working on that. Our REAC inspections are going to be starting, I think, the week after next and continuing into March. We've assigned our crews to work on electrical, plumbing, boiler systems. So they're out there sprucing up our properties. I think the first property to be inspected at the end of February is going to be CCG, and then over to Adams and Monroe, and then after that, Harrison. So our folks are busy out there making it happen.
What was the areas that we failed the last one?
The REAC inspections?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really overall last time. I mean, our problems are so wide and so deep. As we go through our areas, we are focusing on, we did have our own inspection done this past year. So we're focusing on those common areas, we're focusing on the doors, we're focusing on the major systems, but we've had issues across the board. I mean, again, if you go into Andrew Jackson and you try to deal with the kind of persnickety REAC inspection, it's really, really difficult to attack every issue that a REAC inspector might find.
What happens if we fail that one?
Well, then we try again at this point. We don't want to fail. We think that there's a real good chance this time that we're going to, particularly on the elderly disabled CCG, obtain passing grades. And I think if we can accomplish that, we can get the entire housing authority to pass on an average base throughout the housing authority. And Fox Hill isn't in this time, but we're pushing hard on all those fronts, Commissioner. And once the inspections are done and HUD comes back, HUD then comes in and makes a decision on whether they want to meet with us. I think that the REAC inspection results have been a true reason why HUD is so invested with us in the renovation and redevelopment project. They understand our charge here. When the head of HUD's REAC visited us a couple years back, Greg Byrne, he truly understood. He sees this across the country, that housing authorities with the reduced funding and 70-year-old buildings, that the true answer is the kind of funding that you get through the redevelopment and rehabilitation. And commissioners, again, that's our real answer, is the larger amount of money that we're going to be able to invest through renovation and redevelopment. The amount of money we get in operating funds plus our capital fund is not enough to address all of our issues. Just this past month, we had a major stack break in one of our buildings where our guys had to go in and take out the walls and replace the stack. I was going to send some pictures out, but I didn't. But to give you some ideas of the kind of issues we're dealing with out there, and those aren't normal maintenance issues; those are capital issues. And as you've heard from Ms. Shannon when she gave her presentation to the board and to the residents, the history of our depleted funding has just put housing authorities across the country in this position. So we will keep working on it, and we won't give up, and we will continue to focus on providing the safest housing we possibly can. But we know there's going to be issues that continue in our buildings, and we will continue to do our best. And we've got some high hopes for the next REAC inspections, but it's going to be a challenge. It's always a challenge with buildings of our age.
Will you be on site for that inspection?
I probably won't be walking with them this time, But we will have a representation, trained representation from our maintenance department with them. I'm a little bit limited in walking this year, but you know, we do have housing authority personnel go along with them.
Okay. Can you resend if it's not too much trouble, the last inspection report? Is that possible?
Sure.
Resurface? Yeah,
Sure.
but
Yeah,
if it's
we've got them.
fine, I'd like to see it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I'll send it to the entire board. Not a problem.
Please send that to the entire board, please.
Sure. With the onset of colder weather, our boiler crew has been busy. We did experience some issues at Christopher Columbus this past month that we straightened out during the coldest season. We do thank our residents for bearing with us during that period. We did get it back online and completely repaired. We have had no problems since then. We also had a small problem at 221 for a day or two, and a small problem at 220 for a day or two, but all of those are back online and running. Maintenance worked hard on our snow removal during our blizzard of 2012. Really proud of what our folks did out there. I know of no injuries, no slip and falls during those periods, and that's really our goal. That we go out there from the time these snow events hit to the time it's done, to make our property safe so our residents can get around. As you know, in a blizzard like that, sometimes you just got to hunker down, and I appreciate our residents cooperating on that. A request was made last time to provide some air quality test examples that we had in the past. I did attach those to my report as an exhibit. Those reports and every report we've gotten back in so far have showed no findings of issues. And we continue to work on special emergencies. Like I mentioned, the stacks breaking, boiler issues. We had planned to bring on finance a 2020 audit to the board, but I could not bring the finance committee together. It's my fault. I didn't get them together in time. So when that comes up as a resolution, I'm requesting we table that so we can get to the finance committee in the next couple of weeks and do a full review on the audit and bring it to you officially next month. There is no immediate deadline on that. We do have a few months actually before we have to approve the audit, so there's no harm there in waiting another month. Resident services proposals for the year's community partner program are before you tonight in the form of resolution, which we'll be discussing shortly. And they were reviewed at the Resident Services Committee on February 3rd and again on February 9th. And I did attach our Resident Services snapshot as attachment 5. And I'd like to ask Daniel if he's got any highlights that he wants to share with us, like Valentine's Day is coming up, huh?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Recco, and hello, commissioners. I wanted to quickly address Commissioner Impastato's question. My apologies, I was muted, so I was trying to get you the information, but Barbara did come up, mentioned that the NIXO was sent out on the 29th, and then the Facebook message or post was also for the survey was posted on the 26th of January. So that automatically posts also to Instagram as well. But I would also love to work with you on maybe doing some of the ads, Facebook ads. So we can also work on that as well. So I'll connect with you tomorrow and see if we can get some time so that way we can work that out. And just wanted to quickly talk about some of our upcoming events. Yesterday, we were at Fox Hill with our senior Valentine Grab and Go. And today we spent some time at Adams. Tomorrow we'll be at Monroe, finishing up our senior events. I want to thank Councilman Phil Cohen for sponsoring the Fox Hill event. It was awesome. And I also am thankful to Carney Bank Casa Manito Active Day and also Well Care for providing amazing giveaways for our senior Valentine event. So really thankful to our partners that continually support, our seniors in our community. Just want to quickly move to the section on services and resources. we connected with Fusion Lab. They are providing COVID testing at our senior building. Yesterday, they were at Fox Hill. Today, they're at Adams, and tomorrow they'll be at 221 Jackson Street to provide COVID testing for seniors. We spoke to them today. I spoke to their representative, and we're working out a schedule for continued testing at these buildings and also expanding it to our families as well. So in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see scheduling of testing for our families to ensure that our families are safe as we deal with this pandemic. And finally, there is a new initiative and program that I'm working with a representative from the Hoboken Public Library. Her name is Aiko. We are going to be providing distribution sites for sanitary hygiene items for women and girls. Those dispensers will be installed in some of our laundry rooms, especially on the main campus in Christopher Columbus. And the learning center adjacent to Mama Johnson Field will also be a distribution site. I am working with ACO on setting up flyers and also kind of like the marketing aspect, so that way we can ensure that these items are provided to our community. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
And we had a very productive meeting with the new director of the library and their new community outreach person this past month too. And I forgot to mention in my report. I think we're going to see good things out of them this year. All right, thank you. Then that was.
I have a question.
Sure.
Did I noticed that the personnel committee didn't meet again? Did we ever get all the directors' evaluations back and finalize his 2021 evaluation?
I think we need a few of them back. I'm going to do mine when every other one has been back. And then we are going to wrap that up. It should be wrapped up by next meeting.
That's supposed to be, isn't that supposed to be done in December of 2021?
The process is supposed to be started by December. We did
So-
actually
so- and then-
we
and
didn't
then
complete it
we-
last year until a few months from now.
And then we
Right,
also
it'll be done.
did we
It'll be
give-
done next month, though, Commissioner. Thank
Yeah,
you
but
for
didn't we
inquiring
give
about
all the commissioners like 10 days from when we sent it out? Is there a reason why you get a 2-month extension?
No, there's not. All right, let's move on. Next item.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Reyes.
Mr. Miller, I just have 2 questions regarding the report. So the director's report. So in
Absolutely. Go
reviewing the vacancy report, last month we had 143 and this month we have 140 vacancies, correct? Now, previous reports that you guys had given me, I was able to put into an Excel sheet because I get it that you guys send it to us like this, but it's easier for me personally to see it in an Excel sheet to see how we're doing. And I was actually very glad to see that Fox Hill had 30 vacancies and they're left with 10, which is amazing to me. You know, doing what I do on a professional level, that's all we're asked about is, you know, public housing, we need apartments and so forth. But then I also have some concerns that the other AMPs are not doing the same. For instance, like I want to say 2 AMPs that the vacancies went up. And then there's Andrew Jackson that I couldn't tell because the last report, you guys combined South and North. And this one, it's actually broken down into the 2 sides. And although it was 86 in total in last month, this month, we're down to 51. So like my question is, what is being done different at some AMPs than other AMPs? Because the need for housing is here. We need it. There are definitely, we have a list of hundreds of people who need it. So like, that's my concern is what's happening that these apartments are not being leased. And if the cases that they're not ready, would you guys be able to let us know of the 140 that are unoccupied, how many are ready to be leased up? You know, at the end of the day, leasing those apartments is the benefit for us, the housing authority, because it brings us, money. And on top of that, it also helps those individuals who are in need of public housing because they can't afford to live anywhere else. So those were,
Yeah,
those were my
I
questions.
can answer, Barbara. And I want to thank you because it was from one of your comments that I agreed that we needed to kind of streamline the report a little bit better. Hopefully this will help everybody see.
I love
that
this report.
Specifically the bottom part where you're going to see what was leased, what was lost. So move in, move out. You'll see the transfers. So the transfers should always cancel each other out, but it gives you guys also the ability to see that still those were people that were housed. So that does become, even though it's you do get a vacancy on the other side, but that was also a family that was in need of a transfer that we were able to help. So, but to the point of lease ups, there is a couple of different reasons, but Fox Hill does sell itself. If you have a ready apartment at Fox Hill, it will lease up, right? Those last 10 apartments that we have left at Fox Hill are actually already, of those 10, already 5 are already leased up as of today. And those were just waiting on cabinets. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed. If we might get those cabinets, we might be able to come to you next month with Fox Hill at 100%. But Monroe, who was it, I didn't think was going to be there, might pull off the first 100%. So Monroe will be at 100%. All their cabinets came in, and so that one's complete. We are having a little bit of trouble in Harrison Gardens with people who are refusing it. So the apartments are ready. We do have still more vacancies there that need to be tackled as part of a bigger next group of apartments that we're going to take. But the apartments that are ready, some people are turning it down. And even though it's a very fresh list that people just applied to, I think some people had maybe hopes that was for like new apartments that were going to be built. So when they get called and, hey, you got called from the waiting list, they show up and it's Harrison Gardens. They're like, this is not what I thought I signed up for. Unfortunately, we did get a lot of refusals. Some of the seniors buildings got refusals, but the names have been replenished and we do have some live names they have now accepted. So February is going to already February looks better than January did. So, and we're only into the first couple of days of the month. So I think we're going to see much better there. But ultimately, our struggle is these cabinets, and no matter how hard we battle with that, is what keeps holding us down as far as like the quick turnaround. We have a very robust effort that Jackie's been leading with Local 55 for as to turn over apartments, and I think it's going, considering the circumstances, as good as it can. But I really do see that we got past November, December, and January were very hard on staffing issues for us. We have a lot of people that were out, whether it was for COVID or for other reasons or medical reasons. We're putting out fires, but we still managed to put some numbers up on the board. And that's all I can ask for. We're going to keep trucking through it. And next month already is already going to be better because we are already better than as of today's date.
Okay, thank you.
But I do like what you said, so I can add one more thing to that report, which is what were you asking for right now? You said
like, if it's like you said, some of them
how
we
many
can't
ready?
move
Oh,
anyone in
ready.
because they're not
Yeah.
ready. So it would just make us understand, because seeing 140 and then knowing that we have 500 people on a wait list, it's kind of, looking from outside in. You guys
That'll
know
be
the
a good
insides, we don't. So that was my concern. And just so when they're denying the apartment, we're moving on to the next person, correct?
Person.
Okay.
Correct.
I just want to make
But
sure
then
that's what's
a couple of processes, but yes.
And now my
Director,
second.
I'm sorry, Barbara. Just on the point of the vacancies and turning those units over, the director and I had a very brief conversation, almost like what we do with the Local 55. I had a conversation with the Carpenters Union in the state of New Jersey. They do a direct hire as well. So basically, one of their union members would be hired directly by the housing authority, and they're a journeyman in their field, right? They're carpenters. They know exactly what they're doing. They're they're able to kind of perform the duties that I think that we would need them to do. But that's a conversation that I want to continue to have with the director, and hopefully we can partner with the carpenters in the state of New Jersey and maybe hire some more employees, especially that we've been having some staffing problems, whether that's part-time or full-time, to try to move that process along a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and we'd like to push that as hard as we can. Our approach right now is on Local 55. They do a good job on units that aren't very, very tough. The easier units they get into under Jackie's leadership and do a great job considering supply chain issues these days. And then on the larger units, we're now entering a conversation with our architect to respec about 30 more units to do a contract with, because those are units that are just beyond the capability of an everyday turnaround. So I think if we can approach both of those, and I think Councilman Russo, if we can talk to the carpenters union about maybe attacking our worst units with more highly skilled people, we talked about that. I'm very, very interested in that train.
I'll offline, you and I will set up some times that you're available, and then I'll reach out to those guys and we'll get that done as soon as possible.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Michael.
Thank you.
Barbara, over the past 2 years, we've renovated, I think, close to 100 units, which is pretty significant.
Mhm. It is. And I know from what I've been told from other people who have moved into these apartments, they're absolutely beautiful when they move into them. So I just hope that on our end, we're going to keep up with inspections so that these apartments later on don't end up to those apartments that Mr. Recco was just talking about, that they're basically inhabitable right now. Because we spend a lot of money to renovate these apartments, and it's just about staying on top of the inspections, and the residents, make them accountable for where they're living and how they're living. I mean, that's my opinion. But so now my second question, and this question is for Frank. Frank, I know you mentioned that we are moving all the information into the new system, right? It seems like there is an issue. And the reason I'm saying this is because I received 3 complaints, and this is just today. I got 2 calls at work and 1 while I was right before I got on the meeting. So people are paying their rents, right? They're paying what they're supposed to pay. And then they're getting a rent receipt back saying that they owe all this money. And then when they call their manager, it's just saying, well, we put the information in the system and that's what the system states. I don't know if that's something even legal. Can we hold them accountable if the error is on our part? But I know that I have some residents who stay on top of their rent. She sent me her receipt and she's nervous because she's like, I pay my rent on time and now they're saying I owe all this money and she can't figure out how. And she's being told by the manager, well, when I put it in the system, this is what's calculating. So have you guys heard that?
Yeah, so there have been some people who have had questions about their receipts, and when we go through it, it's usually easily explainable, so we go through it. So I think at some point, it is a new look to some folks. They're not maybe understanding, and a lot of times when they think that they have, it's actually a credit. If it's in between parentheses. So Tasha, when anybody comes to the office, to the main office, and they have a question about their bill, we go through it. But I want to clarify that the stuff that we're putting into the system is not anything that's going to affect anybody's rent. What we're doing is digitizing their hard file into a scanned folder. The information that's in the system does not get changed by what we're scanning in. I just wanted to make that part clear. So the software conversion ended in July when we did the software conversion, and as the receipts were rolling out, yes, there was a lot of education that happened. And if you would get any of those, you can also certainly send them directly to me and I'll be more than happy to break it down. Some of those sometimes start with a full amount. So if someone had an outstanding balance from our previous system, it doesn't carry over individually like what it states. So like the beginning balance as of September 31st, because we started October 1st, the new system, that's what would carry over an amount. For example, if they owe, let's say $600. So it might say $600 and it'll say as other balance. So what we can do at that point, we'll be more than happy to then go into the old system and print an itemized amount of what that 600 represents. If there's a discrepancy or if something is wrong, obviously the tenant would never be responsible for. And no, we can never ask anybody to pay for something that we don't have clear itemization for. So we would never, if you encounter anybody like that, send them to me and I'll be more than happy to.
I have a few, so I'll send you an email with their names and their phone number. One of them was actually trying to get on, but I sent her the information to get on over the phone and she wasn't able to. And I also know that I believe Adrian was also going to ask about this. So I think we answered that question. But absolutely, I will let them know that if there's any issues, just to go directly to you. My last question is, all management offices are open now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're still like in the same system. They should be in the office. We're still operating by appointment. We aren't open to the public as like people walk in, but the offices should be open and there should be someone in the office every day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And in our next manager meeting too, I will kind of reinforce this, that I think if anyone calls the management office and asks, the manager should make sure that they say, let's set up an appointment and review your case with you. And we'll reinforce that with each manager. The manager just shouldn't be answering, well, that's what we put in the system. No, we should be giving customer service where somebody, that does not sit well with me, and we'll address that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
All right. And that's it for your report, Director?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We report the committees were covered pretty much in the director's report. Are there anything that was left out? Reports of committees? We've been very busy with the redevelopment committee, and there will be a presentation later today regarding that. I don't believe there's any unfinished business, so move on to the reading and approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. So resolution.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, no.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, the public portion, of course.
Yes, sorry to interrupt.
No worries, of course. All right, so do we have anybody waiting to speak?
Chair, we have no one to speak, but we have some Q&As. I don't
Okay.
know if I should read them out loud. That's okay?
Please do.
Okay. So we have one from Adrian Rawlings at 6:43 p.m. She states, housing needs to install radiator covers because as much as residents are careful, adults and kids alike are still getting burned. I got a resident complaint about it. Next, my sister Cecilia Rawlins said that if you want her to paint her unit as per last inspection, you have to supply her paint as she cannot afford to buy any. Next, rent receipts are going out incorrect. Please make every effort to fix them, including mine. She also sent a second. I forgot. Please send out notice to residents when you hire new folks or promote from within. Found out that a maintenance person was promoted, but we don't really know her that well, and I certainly don't know her. And that Daniel Perez now has an assistant. New employees, we must know who we are dealing with. You got the email on emergency number issues. Please get that straightened out. That's Ms. Rawlings. Then I asked her if she would like to speak, and she says no, sent the follow-up email, but not to hha@myhha.com.
Okay.
That's it.
Her comments are now part of the record, and we thank her for those. All right, anybody else?
Any other email, Lords, just to make sure?
Yes, there is no emails. I'm sorry, no more,
Okay,
no
thank you.
emails. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess we will move on to then resolution number 2022-02.01, a resolution to approve the minutes for the January 13th, 2021 monthly board meeting. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? If we could have a vote, please.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes,
Yes.
M. Russo,
Aye.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 2022-02.02, a resolution authorizing the payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any comments or questions?
I have a question, Chairman Mello.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. The number 3, the accurate door and hardware line item, 10,500. Couple of questions on that. It was the damage done by a resident?
Yeah, I think that damage was done by some folks trying to break into those rooms. As the year progressed. Sammy, do you have, I think Sammy is on the line. He might have some very firsthand knowledge of that. I know Sammy dealt with that contract. And or Emil.
The largest component of that is about $9,000, and it was to replace the Harrison Garden, the roof elevator doors, and that was due to people trying to break into those, and so there was concerns that somebody might get in there and potentially sleep in there. So the decision was made to replace all 4 of those elevator doors. I'm not sure on the background of the atoms that damaged the frame and install, but that was about a $1,500 job.
What we don't have cameras over there?
At this point, we do not have cameras that focus up onto those top levels. We never got up to that, those up to those elevator rooms. There usually isn't a ton of action up there, but I think in a future upgrade on our camera system, that's certainly on our list to get cameras that focus on those elevator doors at the very top of the stairwells.
Is there a
Can I
door?
chime in? Can I chime in real quick in regards to the doors on Harrison Garden rooftops, please?
Sure thing, Sammy.
So the issue was they were prying the doors open to the elevator rooms, and they were knocking them off the hinges, and they were actually sleeping inside the elevator rooms. So it was very dangerous, and we had to get those doors with the headers all installed so that they won't have any more entry to our elevator rooms. They were trespassers.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was that? It was trespassers that did it?
Yes, yes, that's what he said.
How do
They were
we know
sleeping.
that? How do we know that? If we're like, how do we determine that if there's no cameras there?
We know they're not residents, so you know, we go up there with our maintenance guys during the day, and there's some sleeping bags and there's some food and stuff, so we've got to clean it out. So I think it's an assumption that they're trespassers, but we certainly don't ID them.
Do we have don't we have cameras on the outside of the building?
We do, and we look, and at times we're successful talking to the police if we identify this guy or that guy, but you know, you get 20 people coming out who's got the hoodie on, this and that. It's hard to find exactly who it is. Some of the folks, you know, we've managed to track down in cooperation with the police, but it's always a shell game. It's always hard to find them and exactly who they are.
Yeah.
Director, I wanted to say something concerning the cameras. So 220 Harrison, I was there the other day in the building, and when I was coming down, I noticed that the camera, although it's in a bubble, it's actually facing down. It's not even facing the door. So you wouldn't be able to see like who's coming in or out of the building. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I know that sometimes it's not us that's managing those those cameras, but I think it's important that at least they're facing the door so that we know who's coming in and out of the building.
Yeah, we could take a look at that particular one, but usually when they're in those bubbles, you don't know where they're pointed. You know, you just don't. They're not pointed in the direction of the bubble. All right, and often there may be even 2 cameras in there. We've actually got one bubble that's got like 4 cameras for a panoramic.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Great.
no, we're on the world view.
See,
So,
I didn't even know that. So
yes.
thank you for explaining that.
Yes. Panoramic, that's the word. All right, anything else on the list of bills then? And these are beefy doors. And I think that's part of our response here. And I'll also say that our new cooperation with the police is really helping us. They're helping us identify any door that might be able to be jimmied in any way, shape, or form. We did have some folks we caught this past month that were working on jimmying a door, and the police got them. So we're making some progress in there.
All right, if we could have a vote then, please.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes,
Yes.
M. Russo,
Aye.
J. Sanford,
Abstain.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 2022-02.03, a resolution to adopt and approve. Excuse me. Adopt and approve the single audit for fiscal year 10/1/2019 through 9/30/2020 of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken, conducted by Polcari and Company CPA.
This is the resolution that I
Mr. Chair,
mentioned.
Yes.
I would suggest, Mr. Chair, that we do not introduce that resolution, that we don't need to table it. This is the one that I think Mark was just about to say he is asking for it to be deferred until next month.
Okay, so we'll table it to a date certain of next month's meeting.
No, we won't table it. We just won't introduce it, so it doesn't need to be tabled. We just move to the next thing.
All right, I'll just move to the next item then. So resolution number 2022-02.04, resolution to increase the amount of the contract for extraordinary capital improvements. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions? We can have a vote, please.
Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes,
Yes.
M. Russo,
Aye.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
Did you call my name?
Yes, who do you think I missed?
Thought you
Mr.
missed
Mello.
me.
Who was that? D. Mello. I thought I said D. Mello. Okay,
All right.
let's do it again. D.
Well, I
Mello.
didn't respond, so yes.
Oh,
All right.
went too fast, probably. Sorry, Dave.
That's all right. You're the fastest speaker in the West.
Mm.
Okay, so that passes. Then next, we have resolution number 2022-02.05, a resolution to adopt expanded preservation and development guiding. I will make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, before we take any comments or questions, I believe we have a presentation associated with this resolution.
I think so. Troy, you and your team want to talk to us a little bit about the process that got us here on these, and possibly give us a status on where we are on the plan that I introduced earlier. I know Troy was on with us. There he is.
I'm actually here. I'm going to ask Brian and David to lead the presentation, and Susan and Jaime, or the recap rather.
Okay, and maybe just to get us started, maybe I can, and again, repeat that, back in June of 21, this board passed some development principles that have really been our guiding focus on this as we've gone along during the plan. Now, since then, we've come up with some other things that I think the subcommittee, redevelopment subcommittee, and the planning team thought were crucial that we get back down and have the board commit as we go into our final plan, and be able to very publicly commit that these, again, are principles that as we go through the planning process, this is what the housing authority is committing to everyone, right? When we went through the first ones back in June, our commitment to everyone was a number of things. We committed, the housing authority committed from the beginning that we would preserve our housing stock and maintain the total number of units that the housing authority has. That we would never go below ever. the number of units, so all of our units would be replaced, that no one would have to be displaced as we go through this, that we would pursue all financial feasible funding opportunities and preservation opportunities, that we will allocate our resources across our whole portfolio based on priority and feasibility. That's what we've been up to for the last month, that we would pledge to talk to our stakeholders, to talk to our residents, to talk to the different areas of the Hoboken and Hudson County community and engage that broader community. These are the principles that we set back in June, that we would have this open, frequent communication, that if relocation is required, residents will have the right to return, that our decisions will be driven by data, that we will make the best partnerships we can with the organizations out there that can help us, that we will consider non-conventional development activities, commercial, office, educational, that we can mix into our development to make better communities, and that we will improve the standards of all of our housing as we go through this. We will partner with developers when appropriate, and we will maintain as great an ownership of the buildings and land as financially feasible. We will work to make sure that we've got new employment, training, and contracting opportunities from our projects that flow to low and moderate income residents of our community. Those were, in a very short summary, our original development principles. Now, based on the above, we had some new development principles that have been extensively talked about in committee and at a number of meetings. The new principles that we are talking to you about adopting as an add-on to our existing principles are 7. And they are that a 1-for-1 replacement remains the overall guiding principle, no question, as does assurance that there will be no displacement of existing residents. Just again, to make that very clear in even different language, that this housing authority is committing to that as we go through this process. That the apartment size mix can be adjusted to account for current underhoused or overhoused conditions. In other words, if somebody's in a 2-bedroom and they need a 3, as we redevelop, we would build a 3 for that family. The low end of the acceptable unit count range is full replacement or rehabilitation of the 1354 existing units, considering there's 200 units at Fox Hill. No maximum number of units has been established or was established. And we'd like to maintain the flexibility in future phases to account for changing conditions and the potential to add other affordable housing throughout the city of Hoboken, not necessarily just on our sites, but throughout the city of Hoboken. We're committing that the first phase building anticipated will be located at the northern parking area of Harrison Gardens should be 6 stories. Increased height in later phases, particularly along the west side of the main campus, could be deemed appropriate. There was a request to include a variety of building heights at the concept plan and convey that it will not necessarily all be a homogeneous development that just looks all the same. The preferred strategy is to replace existing units and housing only existing residents for at least the first few phases, part of our commitment. The first phase building is an agreed upon starting point. Mixed income should only be included when it takes care of the residents from the targeted existing buildings. Right? And those units are limited to units that are above those necessary to serve the households in the targeted buildings. Resident units come first across the board. We realize it may be beneficial to incorporate the Christopher Columbus location as part of the 2nd or 3rd phase to prevent front-loaded concentration of public housing units in the north end of the main campus in the event that mixed income units are introduced in later phases, not in the first phase, in later phases. And then last, later phases need flexibility in terms of potential land uses, unit counts, and building height and bulk, so building height and the footprint. Obtaining additional sites for replacement houses elsewhere in the city can help in dealing with the concentration of poverty. So those are the 7 things that we're talking about adding to our principles tonight. So we had a number of meetings, we had a number of ways that we could approach this. And now maybe with that introduction, maybe now we can go over to the Torty team and possibly Brian's little presentation on there to make some of this a little clearer in a graphic format. So folks, I'll give it back to you guys.
Thank you, Mark. What Brian has up on his screen is a graphic diagram or illustration of the 7 additional principles that you just enumerated. And the numbering on this diagram directly relates to the numbering that you just read and has been handed out to your board prior to the meeting.
Yeah, and so it's this was reviewed, during the development of these principles in the prior meetings. But again, this is just kind of an illustrative of a way to describe some of these. So I'm just going to go through a couple again, just for people listening. But this is kind of a draft of a potential layout that we've been presenting in the past as well. Just starting with, just going down the list again real quick, 1-for-1 replacement remains the overall guiding principle. Can't say that enough, but we will. The apartment size mix can be account for current and under housing conditions. That just means that we're going to take kind of the demand and the need that is currently on the housing authorities within the housing authority, and use that as kind of our way to plan for how many units each building might need. The low end of the acceptable unit count range is a full replacement and rehabilitation of 1354, including the Foxhill units that are undergoing renovation right now. And this illustration shows that Adams Garden and Monroe will likely be a mix of some possible new additions, but also substantial renovation of those buildings as they're deemed worthy to keep. A lot of the main campus will be redeveloped, or most of the remaining main campus and Harrison Gardens will likely be redeveloped. This diagram kind of shows a layout of that. Very important, number 4 is talking about building height. And we are going to show this in our plan and in current drawings and subsequent drawings. Potential areas where the height can go above a kind of a baseline of 6 stories, to talk about where that would be appropriate and how that can help gain additional units quicker in certain cases. In this case, they're all along the backside that face the proposed resiliency park, and then the Palisades beyond that. The number 5 is just discussing about that the first several phases of the project will be devoted to replacing existing units only. There won't be any moderate income or additional affordable housing units outside of the ones we're replacing, as much as we can in the first several phases. And then towards the end, we are starting to show kind of some later blocks, later building footprints in bulk that is kind of faded out. And the idea is that is within this plan will be far into the future of all the steps that we have to take to get this done. And at that point, we can keep some flexibility where all of the units will certainly be replaced, but there might be some additional space for additional land use. Different types of land uses, different types of open spaces or additional units. And then number 6 was also a good development of utilizing the redevelopment of Christopher Columbus perhaps earlier in phases than we were before. Giving some direction on that helps kind of kickstart some additional housing in earlier phases. And number 7, I kind of spoke to already, but the later phases need flexibility in terms of potential land use, unit counts, and building heights. So again, this is just a kind of graphic illustration of those principles But the vote will be on the principles themselves. This is just kind of to kind of fill in your mind of how that pans out. Thank you.
Brian, do you want to point out the F1 building as the first phase?
Oh, yes, excuse me. Yes. The F1 building, which is the northern area of the Harrison parking lot, the northern parking lot, will be first phase, and we've committed to that being a 6-story building to start, to kind of mix, we heard what the residents in the community have told us about building heights at that point to kind of blend in with the existing neighborhood. Thanks, Emily. Mark, if you want to continue, or if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Are there any questions?
And I think what we're going to be, obviously, what we're going to be doing from here, should you approve these, we'll be reviewing these in depth with at our resident meeting this coming week, as well as at our RAB board meetings, and getting feedback and comment from there. And again, as this is part of the source for our draft plan, these are the principles you're going to see that are coming into our plan as we go through the next few months.
Great job. I know that a ton of work has gone into this, and
yes,
thank you for that. And I really think this is concrete enough for us to move forward and achieve our primary mission of replacing the housing stock that we have that is just not up to snuff and not really rehabilitable, while not hitting any roadblocks along the way in these initial stages, which is super important. All right, any questions from any other board members, or can we take a vote? All right, if we could call the vote, please.
A. Impastato.
Yes.
A. Lewitt.
Yes.
D. Mello.
Yes.
B. Reyes.
Yes.
M. Russo.
Aye.
J. Sanford.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
Mark, could you repeat what the actual motion is?
Yes.
I have that if you like. Motion was
Yeah,
Dave Mello and second was Seisman. Erica?
And what
I
is
think
the
what
the
Jaime's
wording of
looking
the
for
motion?
is the language of the resolution. Why don't you just send him that after the meeting, Lords?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was
Yeah.
sent to, they got the resolution and the backup, which is
Yeah.
the guide.
And the title was a resolution to adopt expanded preservation and development guiding principles.
Thanks.
No
Welcome.
problem. And thank you, all involved, all of our consultants who have been doing a great job. So keep up the good work, and thank you so much for the work you've done so far.
And I'd like to thank the board as well. I mean, I think us as a team coming and getting together and reassuring residents that there will be one-for-one replacement, that these are values that we take seriously, that the board's repeating, that these are commitments that they're making is just essential to the community and to the success of the project. So thank you.
That is our number one priority, driving priority, and the priority that we are most obsessively concerned with achieving.
And we just want to thank the board as well for working toward kind of getting to this expanded development principles. It'll help us certainly go forward and create a great report for you all.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So on to the final resolution for the evening, resolution 2022-02.06. Resolution to award a contract for resident services program providers. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or comment? Get a vote, please.
A. Impastato.
Yes.
A. Lewitt.
Yes.
D. Mello.
Yes.
B. Reyes.
Abstain.
M. Russo.
Aye.
J. Sanford.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
Thank you. This is exciting. Appreciate it.
Great. And then is there any new business? Okay. I don't believe there's any need for a closed session tonight, so motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Mr. Mello, Look,
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Mello, I just wanted to say two things. One thing is
Oh,
a
of course.
resident just
Floor is yours.
messaged me asking me if housing is open tomorrow because somehow the Jersey City Housing Authority is closed for a holiday. So they wanted to make sure that we would be open. We're open, correct?
We are open, but now we're jealous. So.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
But
They
we're
just-
open.
they
Holiday
just
is
messaged
closed
me.
for. As
I
a
think she
teacher, I
said link-
felt like I would be aware of all
Lincoln-
holidays.
She said something about Lincoln.
President's
Lincoln's birthday, President's Day.
Yeah,
we do
Lincoln's
have.
birthday.
Yeah. Okay, we do have a President's Day holiday coming up, I think a week from Monday.
Okay.
So that's
I guess we
probably
go.
ours.
I guess we go the Washington birthday route in our observance.
And I think the
Yeah.
city's closed tomorrow too. I don't know. That's what they meant. I didn't know anything about it. She just mentioned it to me. She asked me to
Well,
ask.
Well, we observe, I believe, a week from Monday is when we observe President's Day.
Okay. And then my last thing I wanted to say was that Hope's hired a new Ross coordinator for our position here in the Family Resource Center. Her name is Jelly Malapit. She started with us a few weeks ago, but she's actually her main focus in her position is to work with the Housing Authority residents. So she is going to be doing the employment support. She is going to be assisting with health insurance, with a number of different core programs that we will be offering the Housing Authority. So one of the things that she also will be doing is attending these meetings and trying to give you guys updates of what she's doing in her role and how she's been helping the residents. So she's probably on. She's probably on, but I'm not gonna have her speak. But in future meetings, she will be speaking and reporting back to you guys what she has been doing and how many families we have been assisting, just so you guys get an overall view of what's happening in her role.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Maybe we can meld her into my reports and have her as part of that. So thank you. You all do such great work out there, and Jelly, we look forward to meeting you and working with you.
Yes.
All right, great news. Thank you for sharing that, Commissioner. And thank you for all the good work you folks all do. All right, any other new business? Okay, motion to close. Do I have a second?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all. Be well.
Have a
Stay
good night.
warm.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.